Good afternoon and welcome. Jahangir Khan, at the age of 18, has become the greatest squash player the world has ever seen. Last month, he won the British Open Championship, snatching the title from the 8 times former master, Jeff Hunt of Australia. Unbeaten for 12 months, Jahangir Khan needed only this British Open title to achieve the coveted Grand Slam. A Midlands man with remarkable foresight decided nearly 2 years ago to put everything he had into following Jahangir Khan and documenting his life on camera. He is Stuart Sharp from Foxton in Leicestershire. Vera Gilbert now talks to him in our studios.
Stuart, you've been virtually Jahangir's second shadow for the last 3 years. Why on earth did you do it?
Yes, well, it's an amazing set of circumstances that brought Jahangir and myself together. His brother, and his much-loved brother at that, died on the squash court in Australia. Now, at that time in his life, he was going to be coached by his brother and hopefully to take him to the top. Now, this had a dramatic effect on his family, and they had to find another coach for him. Now, Rahmat Khan in London, who was already on the world circuit...
That was his cousin, was it?
That was his cousin. Decided to put his name forward to take on the role of Stuart Khan. So, this brought Jahangir to Wembley. Now, how I got to Wembley was simply because I enjoyed squash, and I was having squash lessons in Wembley with Rahmat Khan. Now, when I saw these two players together, I noticed something very different about them.
It must have meant really a great deal of sacrifice for you. I mean, did you just drop everything and follow him?
Yes, virtually. But this was something entirely different, and they had much more than faith. They had a discipline and a unity that I'd never seen in any other people before, and that, of course, has been borne out since he's won the World Championship.
Well, in 2 years, it must have really taken you all around the world. What is Jahangir like as a player?
As a player, he's a phenomenon. There's no question about that. He's the youngest world champion squash player ever, and he's got much more than squash ability. He has a phenomenal brain, and anybody that plays squash knows that it's not just a physical game, but a great mental game, a game of chess on a squash court. So he's got a tremendous brain on him. He knows what shot to play and when to play it. And that's half the story in squash. Also, of course, as you know, he can play for tremendous lengths of time. His stamina is fantastic. He's probably the fittest man in the world at the moment. And he can go for 2 or 3 hours if it's necessary to win an important game. And that's like running a steeplechase marathon.
Ferocious competitor, I would say. I mean, how does he face up, though, to competition from people like Jeff Hunt, the ex-world champion? I mean, Jahangir since knocked him off his throne, as it were. How does he face up to that?
Well, of course, you know, he's had a number of defeats, and those defeats were very good for him because he was able to analyse them very carefully. And part of the reason why he wins so much is because he can analyse his defeats. His defeats in the British Open helped him a lot to get to the World Championship. He takes defeat very well. And his preparation against Jeff Hunt with Rahmat Khan, and I think this is the point, his preparations against Jeff Hunt have been absolutely superb.
Well, it is fantastic, really, to think that at 18 he could really have achieved so much.
Right.
But actually, what kind of training, for example, has he been doing?
Well, when he's in training for these circuits, he is training 7 hours a day. That's on and off the court, sprints, long distance, you name it. He will often start the morning with a 10-mile run, and that's not a jog. He will do sprints in that, and he goes at one heck of a pace. That's before he starts his actual training schedule on the court, so that when he comes for a big match, he's totally prepared for it, mentally as well as physically. And to do that, we've trained all over the world. I have sequences of him training in the Himalayas, to Canada, right across the world. So wherever he goes, he's always training.
Well, I know that, in fact, on top of everything else, really, he actually did come from a great squash-playing family, but he also, some would say, was burdened with the name Jahangir, wasn't he?
Well, that's a nice way of putting it, because Jahangir, of course, means conqueror of the world. And when I filmed them in Afghanistan, one could possibly see why those names were given to them, because filming in Afghanistan, people ask me why I filmed there. And it's simply because the two boys belonged to a tribe called the Khalil tribe in Afghanistan, and we wanted to show them in their homeland. Then one could really see what these boys were made of.
Stuart, talking about Afghanistan, you really had a remarkable piece of equipment with you, didn't you?
Yes, it was an incredible piece of equipment, basically because it had a charmed life. I was filming in Afghanistan and many places like that which were very dusty to say the least, and once went through a dust storm for about 100 miles. And I had no covers with, and was convinced that it would never work when I got to the mountains of Afghanistan. But not only did it work, but the amazing thing is it worked to my very last shot in the film. So that's got an amazing story to it too, and we were very pleased that we were able to use such equipment to make this film on Jahangir Khan.
Well, you've finished all that now, because he is now the world champion. Is there anything more that he can do?
Oh yes, he's got a lot to do yet, because Jeff Hunt is the British Open champion now 8 times, so he's the greatest player ever on the books at the moment. And so what Jahangir has got to do to bring that title back to Pakistan, where Hashim Khan once had it, he's got to win the British Open title 9 times, which, if he does that, he will then become the greatest player ever.